BraveMaker Show is hosted by Tony Gaffestone and Christina Jackson. Thanks for tuning in. It's showtime.
It is showtime. Hey, welcome to the show, the BraveMaker Show Live. My name is Tony Gaffestone. My pronouns are he, him, his. I am a writer and a director and occasionally an actor. I am in the Bay Area, specifically Redwood City, and to be inclusive, we always like to communicate our visuals. And so today I'm wearing, I don't know what's going on. I'm wearing my green BraveMaker hat, my glasses. I got a scarf on. I have this fuzzy corduroy jacket on in my studio that's got a bunch of blue and pink stuff. So it is happening today. I feel like I'm a lot, but I'm no more a lot than my beautiful, wonderful co-host and co-partner in collaboration and creativity, Christina Ray Jackson. She's muted. Come on. Get that mute off.
Look, I promise I've done this before. Yeah, you're not too much. You're just enough. You know, I'm always extra. I've got the Wakanda costume on today. My name is Christina Ray Jackson. I'm an actor, comic book writer, and singer here in the Bay Area. I'm coming to you from my Dublin studio in California, which is about 30 minutes east of California. And San Francisco. Yeah, Robin's birthday was last night, and I've had a little champagne, so we'll just leave it at that.
Okay, no problem. Going. Afternoon champagne, morning champagne. It's all good.
Morning champagne, mimosas. We got to keep the party going.
Christina, you were also recording last night too. This is the life.
Yes,
this is the BraveMaker life. She was in the recording studio last night for the music video that we just shot a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
We got lots of plates to spin in.
We do.
Lots of
exciting. And it's really exciting. So we're in Redwood City last night at Templo Studio. Shout out to Templo. They're awesome over there. And I brought little sister with me, and she turned the big 35 last night. So we were turning up and recording and having a good time. And let me get back to where was I? My pronouns, he, she, they. I'm queer. I'm an African-American woman. And I've got some wild brown curly hair. And Tony, let's jump in. I'll throw it back to you.
Let's jump in. So BraveMaker is all about elevating brave stories for justice, diversity, and inclusion. So if you're listening or watching live or on the replay on the podcast or YouTube, we want you to know we believe in your work, and we hope to elevate and inspire you to keep going. That's why we start our show. Before we bring our special guests in, we start our show every week with this one question: how are you braving your way toward your creative goals? So we're trying to model this ourselves, to be intentional, to go after our dreams as well as whatever creative project we're working on, and hope you can chime in too. So Christina, how are you braving your way this week?
Oh, it felt so good, Tony. I finally published my website. ChristinaJackson.com is live. Check it out. Give me some feedback. I shared it with my parents. They're like the number one, like, I got to run it by them. What do you think? And you know what? They didn't love all of it. They really did. They didn't love all of it.
Okay, I checked it out, and I want to give you some feedback too. I love you're freaking beautiful. You're freaking beautiful. The word beautiful can be so cliche at times, but you are striking. You have such a freaking amazing look, and so that is the way you're leading on the website. That's super important. I definitely think some of the text and other things we can help, get more creative and clean up and make it more simple.
Let me know.
I love it. I'm down with it. Yeah, check it out, everybody. ChristinaJackson.com. Give her some feedback. Give her some love on the Instas as well.
Yeah, and all my cosplay is up here, so that's really cool. And I'm going to announce my comic book release. That's going to come up in a couple of weeks. I'm super excited about that. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with it, but yeah, there's definitely some things my parents told me to tweak and change, including, Tony, you'll like this, my new Under the Track series. They weren't a huge fan.
Okay, hey, art is
So,
subjective. That's
it
okay, mom and
is.
pops.
It
It's
is.
okay. But yeah, I think there's some, get the hive mind going. What's everybody else
Yeah,
thinking and saying? Do you
I
need to
like
have
that.
all that stuff? Your freaking cosplay, I'm a
I
huge
don't
fan
know.
of yours and all of your freaking looks. I'm so jealous that I can't pull off what you can. But
Yeah.
I think that is a huge piece of your brand. This is like so amazing. And other people are going to start doing this too because you're doing it. It's so cool. So you
Awesome.
braved your way in this one. It looks good, I think.
Yes. Oh, thank you, Tony. So I'll throw it back to you. How are you braving your way this week?
Okay, so yeah, I'm making this new film. I feel really good. Christina's going to be in it, starring in this new film. So I'm writing some stuff and I'm putting characters together and putting the arc together. So I just put all the note cards. I got about 30 different note cards on my bulletin board. When I put it on the bulletin board, that's a big deal. And so I feel as if I should be starting to write pretty soon. I got a really good outline. And then second, I am looking for financing. So I reached out to a couple donors. I reached out to personal friends of mine. It's so hard to do, but I'm trying to change my mindset on money. Hey, I want to offer you a gift to partner with me to make something beautiful that's going to not only empower and hire actors and talented people of all kinds, but also it's going to do good in the world. You want in? So that's kind of how I've been leading. We love talking about money on the show.
Yeah, we do.
You need some money to make some stuff. Not always, but you need some money, right? All right, so that's how I was braving my way. Let us know how you're braving your way. You can send us the tweets, the loves, the Instas. We're all over on social medias. You know where to find us, as well as BraveMaker.org, our main platform. Or if you want a good old email, just email podcast@bravemaker.com. All right, let's bring in our special guest. We got a whole slew of talented people that are waiting in our virtual green room.
Yeah.
They have just released a new film that Christina and I both got to watch. I saw it at its premiere in San Francisco. It's called Girl in Golden Gate Park. Let's welcome the team. We'll first bring on the writer, director, producer, as well as editors extraordinaire, JP Allen and Cathy Montosa. We'll start with you before we bring in the rest of your team. Welcome.
Awesome. Welcome.
Hey, welcome. Thank you. We want some of that champagne, please.
Yeah, that sounds great.
I drank it off.
We got a bottle here. We're gonna open it up soon.
We didn't know.
Hey, pop it up. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Hey,
okay, let's jump in. We want to know about this story, but first, I'm a huge fan of origin stories. I'm a comic book writer, so we want to hear your origin story. Where were you born and raised, and how has your journey uniquely prepared you for the work you're doing today?
I was born and raised in Texas, North Texas, and I came out to California when I was about 21. I went to the University of Texas in the acting program, the drama program. Then I went to Cal Arts in the acting program. Then I made my way up to San Francisco in the a screenwriting program. And I think probably the most influential thing in my creative process is probably just my father, who was an inventor, a mechanical inventor in various types of engines and so forth, and that had a big influence on me.
I love that. Yeah, that answers it. We usually ask, are you a first or second generation filmmaker? But we never ask, what do your parents do? Because even if your parents weren't filmmakers, what they do definitely influences what you're doing now. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, my dad had a huge influence, and he was an inventor from a very early age, inventing little mechanical devices when he was living alone as a young man. And then I just watched him do it my whole life. I had a big workshop where he was creating things. It was very very cool to be around. And he had no no knowledge of filmmaking whatsoever, and that was fine. We got along great regardless of that. But he did build me one time when I was a kid. He built me a dark room when I first expressed interest in photography.
What a dad, inspiring, encouraging the arts. I love that. I love when I hear parents doing that. What about you, Cathy?
I grew up in Winters, which is right by Davis. It's a little farm community. So, and then I moved to Santa Rosa, North Bay, right out of high school. And from there, I moved to San Francisco. I went to nursing school. I worked with developmentally disabled people since I was a young girl. And from there, I went to nursing school. And I would say that nursing kind of triages, it's triaging. So it kind of leads me into this. I've always loved school. I've always loved storytelling. And there's so many stories. And when I met JP, I work as a psych nurse instructor. It's sort of triaging nurse. Everything goes into being a producer on a film, and also being able to express my creative part of it and work with JP on that. So it's been great. So it's both. I get to do both.
I love the analogy of you're a triage nurse and you're also telling stories through film, because man, it feels bloody at times. It feels like your
we're talking about.
Oh yes, yes. I thought this makes sense. I got to figure out what the most important thing is here, right now.
Yeah. So you two are production partners, your life partners as well, which that kind of works out well for you. You can do all the pre-production stuff, while you're eating breakfast and doing chores and watching, that's a perk. Before we bring in your talented cast and crew, talk about the dynamic of that. Like, how does it work with you two? You both, you're a producer, Cathy, JP, you do a lot of the other stuff. How does the ins and outs of that relationship work, and the benefits of it? Also, maybe some of the cons of being in a relationship with your creative partner.
Well, for me, I have not experienced any negative aspects to it, really, because Cathy and I have. The nursing thing is more significant than you imagine, because her understanding of human nature is at the kind of the core of her experience. And so in telling stories, and by the way, she's also a writer in other areas, but it's at her very core to be dealing with human nature. And that's what we're trying to do in stories, of course. Mm-hmm. So the minute we started working together and collaborating, it was just a very natural fit for us. And we have our glasses of champagne and talk about the script and develop things together. It's been very positive. And I hope she feels the same.
I do, except for sometimes it goes till 4:00 in the morning where we're talking about script and working out problems and stuff. And it's like, how did it get to be 4 a.m.? I go to bed way before this.
You usually get up at 4 a.m.
I did this morning. Yeah. But
Cathy, are you having to wear the on-set medic hat as well as the producer hat then?
Well, if things happen, I would imagine. When somebody falls down, like, I'll just watch for a second and try not to jump in too much. Nothing really bad has happened so far, thank God. I'm going to knock on wood.
That's great. All right. Well, we're really stoked to meet your cast and crew. And before we do that, let's take a watch of the trailer to this new film that can be found on Amazon.com right now, called Girl in Golden Gate Park. Here we go. Oop, did we not get sound there? Stand by. Hold on.
I do what I do alone, all right? What you do is limited. I have something better.
You want someone to save you from all your bad behavior.
It's just great to see you. I really admire what you've done with tech and development.
I'm making progress.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here. The main lesson I've learned in business is this.
It's like the things I care about are taken away little by little.
But it's opportunity. This is gold rush time.
And I found drugs in your car.
My car?
Is that what this is about?
All right. Well, why don't you introduce your cast as well as your DP that are here with us? Let's bring them on in. First of all, here we go. Your star.
Welcome, Kim.
Do we have sorry, JP and Cathy, you're muted. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Sorry about that. Go ahead, Kim. You're on now.
Oh, was I muted?
Yeah.
Hi. Nice to see you guys. Thanks for having us today.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is so exciting.
And
Really is.
Allison Ewing, who also stars in the film. Welcome, Allison.
Welcome,
Friend of
Allison.
BraveMaker.
Mhm.
Yes, we're so
Hi,
stoked.
guys.
Hi, Allison.
All right, and then DP, Daniel Tashira Gomes.
Welcome, Daniel.
Hi, Dan.
All right, I'm going to turn it over to Christina since we got a good crew of people here to facilitate our questions here. Go ahead, Christina.
Yes, I'm going to throw out the same question, and let's start with Kim. Where were you born and raised, and how has your journey uniquely prepared you for the work you're doing now? And are you doing more than acting? Are you also an actor, writer, singer? We'd love to know.
Wow. Well, first, I was born in a small village outside of Hong Kong, and I lived there for the first 7 years of my life. And then we moved to this country, and I grew up in San Francisco for the rest of that time, mostly, and also living in a cowboy country in Oregon for some time in parts of my childhood as well. And what was the other question? Oh, how did all this experience prepare me for today?
Yes.
Wow, God, that's such a big question to start. Yeah, I just think every single thing that happened in my life has been completely influential in every part of the work that I do, and even in my everyday life. It's benefits me as an artist because I can draw from every shitty thing that's ever happened to me, every fantastic thing that's ever happened to me. I can draw on that. So I'm really thankful for having had it was kind of a really rich childhood growing up. And also my dad is a professional painter, and he's always inspired me to be an artist. And I just couldn't imagine having a life not being an artist, because I grew up watching him painting, coming home from work and then painting till like 2 a.m, every night. And that sort of passion and dedication have always sort of stuck with me for all of my life. So that's definitely an inspiration, just like what JP was saying about his dad. It was like, oh, this made me think about my dad. Yeah, I think I've answered your question. What else was There's so much.
Yeah.
Your social security number and credit cards. Would be
Okay.
great if you put that in the chat.
The first time I had sex, no.
Oh yeah. There you go. Let's go around, everybody.
I think I've answered your question. I wasn't sure. Right?
Yeah. You definitely answered the
Thank you.
question. I love what you said about using your shitty and fantastic experiences and bringing that to the work you do. Because I really feel like this film married both of those ideas so well. Really shitty things going on, but also really amazing things going on in this film. So I like the usage of both. And let's throw the question over to Allison. All right, Allison, where were you born and raised? And how has your journey uniquely prepared you for the work you're doing today?
I grew up in San Diego, and I came to San Francisco a couple of times for the last and maybe most permanent time in 2010. And I acted when I was really young, like high school, and a couple years in college. And I had some raw talent there, but no training whatsoever. And I was thrown into the deep end, and I was crashing and burning, and also getting really close to some crazy opportunities. But I wasn't prepared. I wasn't ready. I wasn't mature enough or loved myself enough. And so I ran, screaming and running. And then I lived for a really long time, 20 years or so. And then I started taking acting classes again. I'd shut that part of my life out completely. And I recognized the void and started studying just for myself. And I really found it to be a therapy. And And then just a few years ago, the woman who runs my school is a manager and invited me to start auditioning, and now I'm doing this as a part-time hobby and growing more and more in terms of the bandwidth and the energy that I'm spending on it. But I think that having that time away and the life that I led, and yes, all the complexity and the hard things, but also the things that had nothing to do with acting, are what I got to bring to it, and a little more self-love, and still working on that, but it definitely way more than I had when I was a kid. I just couldn't handle it,
I love how you and Kim are both expressing how your life experiences, not all of them so great, you're now able to use that, as an actor and putting that into the film. And the characters you guys brought to life in this film were so nuanced and so vulnerable and so real. I definitely could see that coming across through the stories. I love these characters, by the way. I don't think I've seen I don't think I've seen characters quite like this ever before. The story is so fresh. Before we get into more of that, we're going to go over to Daniel. Throw that question over to Daniel. Where were you born and raised, and how has your journey uniquely prepared you for the work you're doing today?
So, born in the north of England in a city called Sheffield. If you've seen the film The Full Monty, then you've seen a bit of that city. And family moved gradually south in England until I took the final leap and left the UK completely and got to San Francisco via Australia. So if you're hearing a bit of a weird accent, it's a little bit, north of England, a little Australian, that still hangs around.
It's wild.
And then been like 26 years in the US, so it's got a lot of other bits in there as well. And how did that one influence me to get into film stuff? As far as I can remember, I've been fascinated with visual stuff. I originally early on was involved in theatre through school stuff, and did the school magazine's comic strip for years, and then somehow got hold of a camera and then started getting really fascinated with taking photographs and the framing of the image and how powerful that was. The choices that were made in framing up an image became really kind of obsessive thing for me for a long time. At age 13, I managed to convince the school to buy a video camera, and then embarked on a school TV project for a few years until I went off to university. That's what got me into the moving image side of things. So, and outside of that, I'm just everywhere I go just inspires me visually. That's one of the things that first strikes me of a place is its visual essence, so to speak.
Nice.
I enjoyed the visuals in Golden Gate Park. There were so many, beautiful moving images of San Francisco, and you captured some of the different parts. San Francisco obviously is such an iconic city and has been in so many movies, but the Golden Gate Park element and the kind of grittiness and rawness of your film, I felt was captured in such a really cool way that I was very proud of you all. So really kudos to the film, kudos to independent film. I love that it premiered in the Roxy. It was just so fun. But and I got to be there and ask you all questions. So I always do like to hear people talk about things that they learn, not in a way that's like, okay, I think I asked you this question, JP, and you talked about the sex scene in the film and what you learned about how to doing sex scenes differently and a little bit more creative and nuanced. And so definitely go watch the movie, you all, and see how the sex scene was done. Aren't you peaked now? We're using sex to sell the movie. Why not? But I love that was what you learned. But I'm wondering, not in a regretful way, but I always like hearing filmmakers learn, what would you do different next time? And this is for all of you, actors, DP. What things did you kind of go, you know what, next time I will do this differently? And I'm talking to myself too as a filmmaker. I know I can always improve, and I could get better at scheduling and storyboarding and so many things, you know, I like keep a running list so that next time I do my work, I can go back and go, okay, what did you learn that you wanted different? I toss that out. Whoever wants to start, what's something, whether it's an actor in preparation or, you know, working with your camera crew, Daniel, what did you learn that you would do different next time? And frame it in a way that's a tip for our other filmmakers that are watching and listening. What could they learn from what you learned? Who wants to go first?
I'll give it tips for you.
Great.
I would say that whatever that you feel like the mistake was you made, that before you move on, you should take that mistake and try to transform it into something else that is effective for the film before you move through that film, which is what happened to us more often than not. We'd have an error, say, that happened in the film, or maybe I made a mistake as a director, or something happened that went wrong, and I always view those as an opportunity, and it doesn't always work out that way. That's sort of an idealistic way to look at it. But in the case of this film, we definitely had a couple of scenes that something went wrong, very wrong, and I could have continued to try to correct them or be upset about the mistake that I'd made, or just try to fix it in editing. But instead, we decided to entirely transform the situation because of that mistake, and and it turned out to be more effective than the original idea. So that's my vote.
Right on. Do you have a specific, like, what did that look like? Was it technical or more emotional? What did that look like?
For example, we had a scene, and there's a scene that is not in the film that I felt like was not effective in pulling it off, and it was a very important scene that we had worked up to, and I could have tried to reshoot it. The actors were perfectly game for that. But as I thought through it, I had an instinctive feeling that there was a better way to solve it. And so we solved it in a visual way, which you see in the latter part of the film. There's a scene basically where you're going back and the character is searching for the other character, and you see places they've been before. And that was not in the original script. That was a solution to that problem and that missing.
Wow. I love that part. That's like one of my favorite parts of the whole movie. It's so powerful, and it's so beautiful too. I love hearing that. I didn't know that. Sorry.
Okay. That's a good tip.
A little excited.
Yeah, very good.
I love being able to find those things in the edit that you go, oh my gosh, cut this out and do this, and boom, you solved it. It's great. Love it. What about actors? What comes to mind for you?
Oh Lord, I feel like the thing I'm still working on. That then I go, oh yeah, I'm gonna work on that, and then it's like, oh shit, I just shot a movie, and I'm like, I did it again, and it's when it comes too close to home, I control things too much, and so it's kind of hard to explain. But the closer I feel to something personal, I find myself resisting a little bit and controlling, and so I felt that. I felt that in a couple of ways, and so it's just an exercise of continuing to let go of my own self and my own stuff. And I'm still so young and new at this, but it's definitely something that I continually am thinking about. Just a little more freedom for myself.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Allison.
Yeah, thanks, Allison. I think for me, there was a scene when we did. My character is seducing Allison's character, and I actually drank real wine. Nice. We were out in the restaurant. Bad idea. I mean, I literally just had 2 sips because we had to order real wine in the restaurant for us to get a table, and then I couldn't. I think you could see in the film, my face was like bright red because of the Asian gene, like it's just like glowing. And I just like, oh my God, it felt like I had like 5 shots of whiskey, even though I only had 2, sips of wine. So that's something we'll never do again on a film.
Don't drink wine while acting.
Yeah. So unprofessional. Oh my God.
Those little things you think, and don't drink milk either, friends. I've done that. Not smart. Not good. Daniel, give us some thoughts around working in San Francisco as a cinematographer. It's often been labeled as a difficult city to shoot a film in, but I know you are all a very small and tight-knit crew, so that helps. But what did you learn that you would do differently?
Yeah, I love working in San Francisco. I think working on independent productions has been absolutely mind-blowing in many ways. The things that we've achieved, the images that we've caught, I don't think we could have done on a commercial shoot. And I think that's partly because we sort of embrace the city in all of its craziness and randomness, and that we're not just going into using San Francisco as a backdrop for something that a production that we put up in front of it. We're actually in the city and the city is existing around us and doing its thing around and through shot. And so what I try to do is turn up with as open a mind as possible. I know the script, I know the shots that we're trying to get, but then to look at everything else as, and I think echoing a bit of what JP said, I mean, I do see everything that happens as an opportunity. Early on, I remember trying to control things a lot more than I do now. And it's sort of, when you look at any film that I've worked on, and especially with JP, because JP has a very collaborative process that I really appreciate. There's things that happen on camera that ultimately make the shots much better than I could have possibly imagined, because the world has introduced elements that I couldn't have imagined, and we've worked with those elements to make the shots that you see. And this film is full of that, whether it's the fog blowing past a lamp, whether it's a duck wandering into a lake. There are things that if we tried to grip hold of it with both hands and control it completely, we would have not got any of that magic. And I think that's really important in a film like this, where the park is a character in the film, and that character has to be able to breathe and have its presence and have its own complexity, and not be sort of polished, have all the edges polished off by us wanting to sort of force our vision of the park on it. And moving from this film, I think I'm next time I do something, I'm going to try and embrace the what's going on in the low contrast areas. So that the dark, moving away from higher contrast to lower contrast stuff. There's certain things in the park where if you, especially on the big screen, was a beautiful experience, because there are things I had literally not seen before in the film that I saw for the first time on a big screen, because it's in the foliage, it's under the trees, it's things that you can't see on anything that isn't 20 feet wide. And so it's that really, there are a couple of little pieces in there where I was really surprised, and I want to try and purposely capture more of that in future.
Awesome.
Awesome. It was all so beautiful and well done. I'm really curious though. This is for Daniel and JP. Can you talk to me about the use of color, and also Cathy, the use of red I thought was really prominent and really was another strong part of the story. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Well,
was it intentional?
One part that comes to mind that we love to talk about actually are the coats in the film. Because, and that was, you just showed a coat right there. That was a particular thing. The character Joni, the actor's not here today, Aaron Mayling Stewart, had a series of, as you can see here, coats worn within the piece that we had a specific meaning to in our own little world. And as the characters progress in terms of their intimacy, her coats change, the colors change, suggesting different emotions and situations that they're going through. So that's one of our favorite things that we worked on.
Color.
Yes.
Color is so
I
important.
loved it. I love that. And I'm curious, were there any influences from the movie It? A little horror element. The ball gave me that feeling at the end when Kim has, well, she has the red ball throughout the film. And I got a little vibe at the end, and I don't want to give anything away because the premise of this story is so wild. You don't know where it's going. You have to watch till the end. I can't even really put my finger on what genre it is because it's so intense and sensual, and you can't just say it's this or that or it's a horror movie. But I felt like there were some elements towards the end. The red ball gave me the red balloon vibes from it, and so I was curious if there were any of those influences in there.
Well, I love that idea. But I didn't consciously do that. Certainly, that the red ball comes from many years ago of a kind of a family story that is similar to what's portrayed in the film itself. But it was meant, as you suggest, actually, though, to be foreboding. It's particularly in that one of the scenes where it appears out of nowhere. I won't give too much away either, but definitely had a specific meaning, as you suggest.
Okay, I love that. And Kim's wearing red today. This is very good, you guys. I love the layering in and the red rose when you have on the leather jacket. I love that too. So I love those little details, and I love hearing like the stories behind them. And I have y'all here. You have to talk to me about your approach for the intimate scenes. I mean, they were so authentic that, for me, a scene is really good if I'm like looking away. If I feel like I really shouldn't be watching this because and that's how the scenes felt to me. They were so sensual and so they felt so real. Can you talk to me about your approach, how you pulled those scenes off?
Is this for me or is this for everyone?
This is for everyone. Was there an intimacy coordinator? How did you guys decide how this was going to be done so that everyone felt comfortable and that you were able to capture something that felt very real, very authentic?
Thank you.
You want to answer that, Kim?
I mean, first of all, like Erin she's a dancer, and actually, JP, you're a dancer. You're a ballet dancer. Oh my gosh. I just loved how you guys came up with this creative way of being intimate without actually, showing skin. And it's you have the same essence and the feelings you can comes out of a romantic chemistry connection without actually, showing it. And I love that part of it. And so JP and Erin actually sort of guided me through some movements. And I think you guys choreographed simple movements that were so lovely and sensual. And it was just a play, really. I mean, that we didn't have somebody coordinating whatever. It was just, we were just playing with different movements and just embodying. It's similar to acting in a role in a part. I mean, in a moment where you're really truly in love with someone. I mean, it's the same, bringing the same molecules of energy into it, but just different movements. So it wasn't really any different for me, but I love the approach that JP and Cathy took with it.
I love that, JP. You didn't tell us you were a dancer. What?
Yeah, right.
I'm not looking that way right now, but I did it a while back.
Ballet.
Yeah, I don't think anyone has ever referenced a dance background into adding an element for how to coordinate an intimacy scene. They made it look so fluid and wonderful that it felt like a dance. So that's beautiful.
Well, we were concerned, I think I said this to Tony at the Roxy, that, we were just trying to find a creative way to do it that was more honest, essentially. And in a strange way, the more slightly abstract we made it, the more honest I felt it became. So, and that's hard to do. It's, and I think exploring intimacy on screen is very difficult. And typically it feels, when I watch it, sometimes it feels like it's connecting. Other times it feels cliched or forced. And we were just determined that the relationships was so important that we had to find some way to find the inner world of the characters and make that external.
Well, you all can go and watch Girl in Golden Gate Park on Amazon.com. You can rent it. You can see there, and we encourage you to do that. We're go ahead.
Sorry. I just want to say I really enjoyed my intimate scenes with Allison. with Allison, she was so open and like lovely, and it felt so like just warm, and it was so. I really enjoyed doing those things with you. Okay, that sounds really weird.
You're so sweet.
That's awesome. I really enjoyed watching them.
So now people who haven't seen the film are like, how many intimacy scenes do you have? Jeez. Okay, go see the film, right?
Just intimacy scenes.
I wouldn't call Ms. more intimate. I think that was Jean's influence, right? Like she was that's what her character did for, the impenetrable, right? Like she broke her down a little bit and had her be a little more vulnerable. Anywho, sorry.
No, that's good. It's good. So as an audience member, I was telling JP at the party too, I tried to just, take my filmmaker hat off, like just enjoy the film. And it was hard in a good way because I want to know like how that was done. And so I want to ask a few quick questions on that. But as an audience member, I'll tell you, I did thoroughly enjoy the film because of the San Francisco vibe. The acting was really great. The small, intimate nature of it. But also there's you talked about it as a love letter to San Francisco, which I definitely think it is, but it's also like this poking, provocative, advocating letter to San Francisco, like get it together because lives are being impacted and it's not always positive. And I really appreciated that tension. I totally agree with Christina that the genre bending was really fun to watch. I love a thriller. I love a good mystery, and there was these elements in it, and you set things up, they paid off, and I just thoroughly enjoyed it, which leads me to some of the filmmaker questions because I know a little backstory from being connected to Allison. I want to hear how many days did you film and what was the schedule like? I know that's not an easy question to answer, but try to make it a short response. What was it like and how many days?
I never counted the entire number of days. We work in a very slow way. We worked for over 1.5 years on it. So we try to just go scene by scene to make them as good as possible. Once we've got what we want, then we move forward. But I would guess probably 30, 40 days on it.
Which that is mind-boggling to me to think about the continuity and consistency just in people's looks over the course of a year now. Like that's so difficult. I want to talk more about that, but we don't have time. But okay, Daniel, what did you film on, and what was your crew like? I know you had a small crew, so give us that the picture of what things looked like behind the scenes.
Yeah, it was a very small crew. We had a series of cameras, the two main systems. There was the Canon 5D and we had a GH4. And then a pretty classic set of Zeiss prime lenses that we used on both sets of cameras. I was generally the only person on camera. JP would potentially cover other cameras. This was a multi-camera shoot. We tried to make it not look like that because otherwise it can end up looking a lot like TV. Well, I think I'm missing a bit of a question.
That suffices. Yeah. What'd you shoot on, and who was behind camera?
Yeah. So, we had the Bob Elvin on lights. And we had John Dole on sound, and that was usually it. Everybody was helping out. JP was carrying gear, Kim was carrying gear. It was very small as far as people, but with the gear that we had and with some of the more modern tools, like we had a dolly and we had a Steadicam, but they're newer. They're not the classic Hollywood things that you need the trip to lug around. And so we were able to move fairly quickly and be quite flexible with the environments that we're in. And and that combined with a bit of ingenuity meant that we could get pretty much everything that we wanted, and not have and also be respectful of the city and park as well at the same time. Because with bigger on commercial shoots, when you've got a lot of people and a lot of equipment, you do tend to tread on a lot of toes.
Which is my last question for y'all. Did you have permits, or are all these things stolen? If you want to admit that, I'm curious.
It's being recorded.
They're like, no comment.
We did what we did.
We did what we did. I like it.
It's a great indie brave maker type of way. I'm very inspired. I tend to find myself in crews that just all of a sudden have like 15 and 20 people, and you are reminding me you don't have to have that many people. You can do it small and do it well, and you definitely did. So huge kudos to you. Please go rent just rent Girl in Golden Gate Park on Amazon. Find it on all the places. It's other places as well if you've got the Rokus and all that kind of thing, right? So we'll put this in the chat, as well as if you're listening on the audio version, it'll be in our show notes. But please support independent film, Coffee and Language. This was really great. Thank you so much to everybody for being a part of it. Hopefully we can find ways to collaborate. We want to be making more connections, and whether it's, casting people and co-producing projects and facilitating these types of conversations, Christina and I and Brave Maker, we love it. This is an important thing.
Thank you so much.
Heck
Yes,
yeah.
thank you.
And we'd be remiss if we didn't invite you to come on March 24th to our premiere of Last Chance Charlene, starring Allison Ewing, which will be, as well as Christina Ray Jackson, March 24th in Redwood City, California. All right, well, now it's time for our lightning round. Everybody gets 30 seconds to share one thing. Here we go. It's called our Brave Faves.
Brave Faves. TV shows, films, books, songs, technology, clothing, podcast, food, and more. These are a few of our favorite people, places, and things. Brave Faves.
Okay, I'll jump in with my brave fave. So I love fashion. I love the runway shows. I just put them on and let them run in the back on mute while I'm writing or doing anything. And I got to see the Gucci Love Parade show. And if you have not seen it, race over to YouTube. Type in Gucci Love Parade. It is such a stunning, beautiful, inspiring show. And I think you'll really enjoy it. And that is my brave fave. And I'll throw it over to Tony.
Right
here
on.
we go. Yeah, it's so beautiful. I watched it a few times now. I got some inspiration for some cosplay looks naturally. It's just a beautiful show if you enjoy fashion shows and runway and all these kinds of glitz and glam of Hollywood. It's a very glamorous collection this year.
What I think was so fun about that is it was innovative. It's just on the street, you can do anything.
Yeah, I
to a
love that
fashion
too.
show, right? Yeah.
Right.
So
I've never
cool.
seen that before.
So cool. All right. Well, my brave fave is The Haunting of Bly Manor by Mike Flanagan. It's on Netflix. I think I faved his Midnight Mass a few weeks ago because it was amazing. But this, oh my gosh, if you like thrillers, I might call it horror. But it's not as super gory horror as you might imagine. And I just thought it's a great example of how the power of storytelling, the power of thrillers can also be healing and dealing with your trauma, and all the way these people coalesced in this really haunting, scary looking mansion. Anytime you go to an old mansion, something is going to happen. Like, get out of there. But they all stayed. They all stayed, and it was great.
Why are you going in the closet?
Right? Exactly. Why do those dolls look like they're faded from the sun, but they have veins popping out? Who plays with that? Anyway, so good. Haunting of Bly Manor. I loved it. All right, I'll toss it over to you, JP and Cathy. What you got?
I'll start with, I started back commuting to work, and so I listened to podcast Ear Hustle, and they had a nice one on being from America and being imprisoned in another country and what that's like. I love that podcast. It's just so real,
Right on.
Yeah,
it's a great one. Ear Hustle. I just saw a work of art, and I don't know where it is, what it is exactly, but it's at near the Ferris wheel in Golden Gate Park, and it's a beautiful piece of art that surrounds one of the locations where we shot, and it's very difficult to describe.
Is it African women?
African women, yes, and yes,
but a lot of them, and they use recycled.
It's incredible. That's all I got to say. Right by the Ferris wheel in Golden Gate Park. Yeah, I don't know the name.
Ferris wheel in Golden Gate Park. So we're gonna put it out to our brave makers. If you know what this is, Google it, share it, so we can post about this. That's great. Thanks, JP. All right, Daniel, what's your brave fave? What do you got?
I've suddenly rediscovered Art Breeder. It's a website that's AI powered. Looks like it's from circa 1990, but yeah, it's allows you to take images and an AI interprets them and generates completely original things from them. And
Wow.
it's
Wow.
yeah,
That's cool.
it's I just find it fascinating.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
really
Trying
cool.
to figure out
Yeah.
what the AI eye sees, as it were. Yeah, and there's some amazing stuff on there. It's a great inspiration tool. Like there's certain things I've seen in there where I've tried to recreate it in the real world, for example. So yeah, Art
Beautiful.
Breeder was just a fantastic, free, and if you've got like want to fall down a rabbit hole, go there now. It's
Yeah.
fantastic, yeah.
Wow.
Good one. I like that one. All right.
Yeah.
Allison, what you got?
This week, I have been obsessed with, I'm listening to The Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler. It's an incredible novel that was published in 1993, but just came to me, and it's fabulous. And the Trial 4 on Netflix about the wrongful conviction of Sean Ellis. And I'm very excited, but I haven't seen it yet, is the Banksy exhibition. You know, the famous artist Banksy has the first and largest collection in San Francisco that's coming.
I want to see that as well. Thank you for sharing.
Yes.
Those are good ones. Kim, final.
Those are
What you
good.
got?
I am obsessed with Santana recently. Just watching him interview and his authenticity, and I'm reading his autobiography, and it's just amazing. Like, he's just so big in his heart and his soul, and obviously a great artist, but a deep, rich spiritual person. And I love how he melds together his family life, his art, and his spirituality, and just everything he does is to make the world better. And I just love that. I just love that so much. I love him so much.
Ooh.
I love you guys so much.
Good Rex.
Love that.
Yes.
I'm
much
taking
love.
notes, man.
Yeah.
This is going to fill your weekend, your
real.
Thanksgiving week. I hope you all have some good time to rest on Thanksgiving week. This is great.
Thank you so much.
Huge kudos to you all. This was really fun.
Yes.
We're here for you. Anything we can do to help promote, we'll push. We'll be putting stuff out on social media and using some of these for clips, and the podcast version will be out in about a week or two, so you can share that. But really huge fans of this film, and to Coffee and Language, by the way.
Oh,
I love
thank
coffee
you.
and I love language. So
It's the most perfect name.
right? Yeah. So we're really glad to be connected with you. Thanks to Allison for making it. Stand by, you all. We'd love to have one final goodbye, but as I do our outro here, thank you to all of you who watch and listen and support BraveMaker. As we go into our finishing off our third fiscal year of being a nonprofit organization and go into our fourth, hopefully, of 2022. A reminder that we are a nonprofit organization. We exist on the generosity of our donors and corporate sponsors, our individual givers. You all make the work that we do possible, from our lights to helping to create the opportunities in our film and TV endeavors. We have a children's book. We're starting to create, a publishing arm. We have huge visions, and we need your support. We only have 21, count them, 21 monthly donors, and then just a few corporate sponsors and grantors, and we're looking to grow more. As you might imagine, the pandemic had a very large impact on us. So if you're able to give and become a monthly donor, go to bravemaker.com/donate, or you can take your phone. It's on the screen right underneath if you're watching live. Or on the replay, just type the word BraveMaker into a text and text that to 44321, and the word BraveMaker to 44321 will instantly give you a link on your cell phone text messaging app. We're really grateful for everyone who shows support, and if you want to sign up on our mailing list, we sometimes have free movies, free workshops. We do screenwriting classes. Mark your calendar. We'll send you all the information for March 24th, 2022 for Last Chance Charlene premiere, and fingers crossed, drum roll, we will be doing our in-person 4-day film festival in the heart of Redwood City, July 7th through 10th.
Yes.
I was in conversation with our venues today, and people seem so excited to be able to welcome us back into the Courthouse Square, the San Mateo County Museum, Century 20, and maybe Fox Theater in Redwood City. So lots of fun things coming up. Don't miss it. And we want to encourage you to come back every week. If you're not subscribed on our YouTube channel, go do that, because Christina and I are chatting every single week with cool people like Coffee and Language. So that's all we got. Thanks to you all.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Good to see
Please
you guys.
stand by for a quick snapshot after we do our end bumper. It should take 30 seconds, but we always say brave stories change the world.
And you are the story. Bye, everybody.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at bravemaker.org. Like, subscribe, and share. To become a monthly donor, text the word BraveMaker to 44321 or go to bravemaker.com/donate. Thanks for tuning in.